Hello and welcome to the August edition of The Buzz. I wanted to talk with everyone today a little bit about this NAR lawsuit that I'm sure you've all read about or heard about in the news. There seem to be a lot of sound bites out there and a lot of confusion, and I just want to clarify a few of the important points and to let you know that this is a little bit of a non-event in North Carolina. This lawsuit took place in, I believe it was Kansas, and we are learning that in many states across the country, they have not been doing things the way we've been doing them in North Carolina. But it still impacts us, so I wanted to clarify a few things. So first of all, there is apparently some confusion about realtors' compensation, how we get paid, and how those rates are set. Just to be clear, not today and not ever have realtor fees or realtor compensation been set by law. They have always been negotiable. Every business, my business being LBG Realty, sets their own pricing just the same way that other businesses set their pricing. If you were going out shopping for some clothes, for example, you would decide value and where you wanted to buy those clothes based on the quality of the product that's being offered and the cost of that product. If quality is not very important to you, you might go shop for your clothes at Walmart. Nothing wrong with that. The cost is going to match the quality of the product that you are receiving. If it's very important to you to get some advice and to get some help and to buy a very high quality clothing, you might shop at Nordstrom. You're going to pay a higher price for that than you're paying at Walmart. You should also be counting on getting a higher quality product. But built into that quality is also the service that's being provided. You might prefer to shop locally. I have a small local business. I'm kind of like the bookshop around the corner in that cute little movie that I love. In that case, you're going to be receiving value based on the services that I provide, the quality of the product that I provide, which frankly is all services. That's what I'm all about. I provide a consulting service to you when you want to buy a home, invest in property, or sell the property that you already own. Nothing has really changed. So you're going to always be able to make the decision about who do you want to work with on value. And I hope that you'll agree that I provide a high value and I set my prices to reflect that. I do offer some discounts sometimes, but that's typically based on kind of like the frequent shopper programs. If you buy and sell with me multiple times, then I discount my fees in a loyalty program. No big deal. Same thing lots of other businesses do. So, what's the deal now about who pays fees and why is there so much confusion about who's paying for buyer's agents to work with them? Well, in North Carolina, we've had buyer agency as a relationship that is under an agreement for decades now. This is not new. It's definitely been the case since I've been doing business for the last 10 years. That said, there's been a perception that buyers don't pay their fee because traditionally what has happened is the seller pays the listing agent a fee to sell their house, and the listing agent splits that fee with the agent who brings the buyer to the transaction. This is simply a marketing strategy. It is a way for sellers to attract buyers to their property so that they can sell their property better. It's built into the price of the house. It's built into the mortgage. It makes it easier for the buyer not to have so much cash at the time that they make a purchase. And it seems to work with everyone. Just like car dealerships offer financing incentives or rebates or other kinds of things. It's the same thing. It's just been done traditionally pretty consistently for a long time, where the seller through their agent is motivating or incentivizing their buyers or the buyers in the market to come see their property and hopefully bring them an offer. That is not going to change. It hasn't changed. These sellers I highly recommend the people that I work with that they continue to offer that marketing strategy, that incentive to the buyer, and use that marketing strategy. Now, one thing about that has changed. I can no longer promote that through the Triangle MLS. Not a big deal. That's not an issue for you, that's an issue for me. I have to figure out how to get the word out there. We've taken care of that. I've got you covered. We can still provide that incentive and get those buyers in the door. We're gonna spread that net wide and bring as many buyers to you as we possibly can. This is just one of our marketing strategies. All right, so what if the seller won't pay? People are hearing, oh, I have a choice. Well, of course, you have a choice. And if you don't want to market your home that way, that's a conversation that we will have. But what if I'm working with you as a buyer and the seller isn't offering that incentive for you? Well, we're going to talk about that every time we go see a house, every time you think about writing an offer, and we're going to make sure that the lack of incentive on the seller's part is reflected in the price of the house. Because if this house is offering an incentive and this house is not, you wouldn't expect the price of the product to be the same, would you? Not a big deal. We'll make sure that you are always informed and able to make good decisions for yourself, which has always been my job as your consultant, your realtor, is to make sure that you're informed and that you can make good decisions for yourself. There is one thing that has changed that is going to have a little bit of impact. Because so many states have not had buyer agency agreements that laid out clearly that the buyer is responsible for paying the fee for their agent if the seller doesn't pay it or the builder doesn't pay it. That's always been the case. It just hasn't been relevant very much, but now it might become more relevant. In order to be more transparent and make sure that buyers understand that they are responsible for that fee, if the seller or the builder is not willing to provide that incentive, we are required to get an agreement in writing before we ever go to see a property. In the past, we've always had buyer agency agreements and we always had to have them in writing before we could write an offer, but we were allowed to have a verbal agreement. That's no longer the case. We have to make sure we are being held to a higher standard to be absolutely sure that buyers always understand that there is a fee for the services that they are receiving, and that means that they're going to have to sign a buyer agency agreement. Not a big deal. We're still going to be loyal to one another. We're still going to continue to work together the way that we always have. We just might have to do some paperwork a little bit sooner than we have in the past. Again, none of this is a big, huge deal here in North Carolina, and it really doesn't change my business practices very much at all. And in the ways that it doesn't impact you at all. So, that said, I want to continue to work with you, with your friends, with your family members, with your coworkers, and I will continue to provide that little shop around the corner type of service where they know they're going to be working with me, where they know that they're going to get the kind of attention and education they need to make good decisions for themselves. And that includes all of these new rules when we sit down and we talk about what's going to happen in a transaction. We'll talk about this a little deeper. In the meantime, if you have more questions, if you're just curious, give me a call and we can chat about it. Thanks so much for listening to this unusually long video this month. And again, we appreciate your support. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to working with you again soon. Bye now.